Dear students, now we are going to start a wonderful chapter, chapter number 5, that is continuity and differentiability. You must know at this point of starting that this particular chapter is the starting of calculus. In calculus, you have many things like the just first thing is you are getting continuity and differentiability. Then you will get full form of in expanded form you will get a derivative, and then application of derivative, differentiation, and then indefinite integration will come, then definite integration will come, then application of integral, and then differential equations. All these chapters are together called a part of calculus. These all chapters dominates your 12th standard mathematics. And almost all the competitive corners you will have all these chapters in one or another form. So you need to be very careful while studying all these concepts in a clear and deeper manner. So here we start. First thing we'll take continuity, that you need to understand what is continuity. Now before we say anything, continuity is something expanded form of limits which you have already studied in 11th standard. So here we start. We go back and talk about limit existence, which we have already studied in 11th standard. If you remember, in 11th standard, chapter number 11 and 10, chapter number 11 especially, in that chapter 11, this was asked that check whether in the following questions or somewhere else limits exist or not. During that period of time, what you were doing at the time, if the left hand limit is equal to right hand limits, you would say that limits exist. That is, left hand limit will be denoted by, in short, these three letters LHL, and the right hand limit will be denoted by RHL. Now let us go a little further, one step ahead, and talk about this particular wonderful word called continuity. Now continuity is what? Continuity means this when the things are not broken in between. Suppose a chain of things and there is no gap between that. I give you one simple example. Suppose here is your house, and here we have your school. This is your school. Now, what is your first and prime motive and aim? On every morning, you start, after getting ready, you start your journey from here and reach here to. Now your routinal work is what? Everybody, your parents, your teachers, and everybody else, whoever think that you are a student, our hypothesis, our assumption is that you are supposed to start your journey from here and reach here daily without fail, and learn whatever you are meant for and you are sent for. So suppose now you are starting your journey from here and reaching school premises here. Then for this particular time, this particular distance, this particular journey, your journey will be called continuous. Try to understand. This particular journey is called continuous. Now, suppose on some other day, uh, this is junction where another road goes towards park here, and some of your friends are waiting there. I know it doesn't happen with you, but just take it for example. Now you were supposed to move directly to school, but instead of that, at this particular junction you had taken this almost U-turn and turned towards this park and spent some time over here. Then another road leads from here to this and meets here, and then you go to the school after some time. After sometimes, that may be after one period, maybe after the assembly or something like that. Now when somebody will talk about you as a student, we are supposing that your path is this is your straight path and you are supposed to travel through this path only. But on that day, particularly for this particular distance, this particular area, you were missing because you had chosen this path and then you went through this path. So we have taken that your presence was there for this particular interval and then for the remaining this point, but this particular point is called gap, between your school and your house. So this particular gap is called discontinuity. Your process is discontinuous here. Since you did not follow this particular path, there was a gap, there was a jump from this point to this point. So this is called discontinuity. Otherwise, it could have, if you would have followed this path, this function, this particular process, this particular system, we would call continuous. If there is a gap, then definitely it would be discontinuous. Now suppose in a simple manner I tell you A is this particular starting point and B is this ending point. If this line is thick, and we are talking about between A and B only, this line is thick and there is no gap, then this is continuous function for A and B. Now mathematically, to check how to check all the questions, all the functions, whether these are continuous and not continuous, that I discuss later, but just for a simple conceptual point of view, you just have a raw idea about what is continuity and what is discontinuity. Another function we have here is the starting point A, and then somewhere here is the ending point is B. Then again another line is started after some time, that is C, and the end point is D. Now for this particular journey A to D, there is a gap at B and C. So this journey is not called continuous journey, as we have a huge big gap over here. So this particular line for these points A, B, C, D, this function is discontinuous. But for this function A to B, since there is no gap, so this is continuous function. So here we now go back to mathematical terms. What are these? Now we'll go to steps. 2 steps ahead to define continuity. 2 steps ahead means left hand limit, and other than right hand limit, we will talk something more about this continuity or discontinuity. To define continuity by using the concepts of existence of limits. Now let we have any function f of x is equal to x defined in its domain. Then for this function to be continuous, the following 3 conditions must have, these three conditions must be there for the particular question. Moreover, these three conditions must have same value. Same value means numerically identical value. Now what is that? This is now very key points we are going to start. Pay attention here. If for x is equal to a is any numerical value, real number, a is real number at any point. F of a, if we put that value in the function and the variable is replaced by this constant, if this function exists means does not give infinite value, then we say that this function exists after putting the value. Then the second thing is, if for any point, same point x is equal to a, we take limit at a and its value is f of a, means same thing what we got in the first point. And the lastly, for same point x is equal to a, we will we will find left hand limit. That procedure you are already knowing, or once more I will explain how to find out the left hand limit, which is very important, and the right hand limit. Actually these left hand limit and right hand limits dominates almost more than 90% of the questions as a concept and as a solution. So left hand limit is equal to right hand limit must be equal to, these two must be identical, and that value also should be f of a. That means here also f of a, here also f of a. First, second and third, everywhere we are getting f of a, that I was talking about, same value, numerically same value. So for a function to be continuous, above three conditions must exist and must have identical value. These three must have identical value. Otherwise, if especially this particular third, if left hand limit is not equal to right hand limit, then we say that the function is discontinuous function. No need of taking then first and second, only this is more than enough. If the left hand limit is not equal to right hand limit, no function can be continuous. So I hope this much is clear to you. Now we'll start exercise 5.1. Now before I go towards the solutions of all these questions, I would like to quote here. You will have here two types of questions, the type 1 and the type 2. In first type of category, I will tell you what is first category and what is second while solving the question. In first type of category, we will be taking a part of curve like this, part of curve. In that particular case, the function will be either increasing or the function will be decreasing, but this portion, this part between a and b, this particular part between a and b will be always curvical or straight sometime. While as in the second category of the questions, you just have a rough idea about what I'm talking. Then when I will be taking questions, I will make it clear what I'm mean about. While in second type of questions, the function will be suppose decreasing and then it starts increasing, and you are asked to check its continuity between a and b, then definitely you will have certainly a point here, somewhere here, where the function stops decreasing. That means its value is suppose -5, then -4, then -2, -1, and then definitely it will be 0. Then it will start increasing. This type of question, second category of questions, are called loop type questions. Here you will have loop, means two types of behavior of the question. In first category it will be increasing, in the second category it will be decreasing in the same question. That means you will have two different functions, different value of the functions in this particular case. While as in this first category there will be no loop, either function will be purely increasing or purely decreasing. So these questions, whenever these questions are being asked, frankly telling, this is just a formality. These all will be continuous only because you are asked that you just check between these two. This is automatically already continuous. There is no risk in saying that these will be continuous, but between A and B, which you can see that it is already continuous. But in this particular case, for some points, it is not advisable that you declare its continuity or discontinuity in the beginning. That means now, coming back to this particular neutral point, the method to find out the continuity of this particular function is to come back to this particular point and go little further. That is called plus any small real number, small h, and then this moving towards little right side. So then that is called finding of the right hand limit, and a little moving towards the left hand side, then that means subtracting something. For example, you have 3, x is equal to 3, and if you add something into 3, where will you go? Right hand side, definitely. And if you subtract something, where will you go? Towards left hand side. So this right hand limit and this left hand limit will decide the nature of this question. That means whether it is continuous at particular that point or it is discontinuous. So actually saying this, when the question starts, turns, or it has loop, means one side different, other side is also different. When it has or it got loops, then we will be finding this left hand limit or right hand limit. Otherwise, simply taking f of a and limit x tends to a will serve the purpose, as I told you. So here we start the question number first of exercise. Here we start exercise 5.1. The first question: prove that the function f of x equals to 5x minus 3 is continuous at x is equal to 0, at x is equal to minus 3, and at x is equal to 5. So now you have to prove this question is continuous at these 3 points. Now in every question, before starting of the question, you have to think about those two types which I told you. In this exercise 5.1, you will have two type of questions. First category is without loop, the second category is with loop. If you remember, this way you are knowing, just now I have explained you this A to B single loop, either increasing, or this way A to B, whether it is decreasing. This type of category where the end points are given, or it is given that all are real numbers. So when all are real numbers, you need not to worry about the breaking of this particular path. While as in second category, where the function turns in a different way, when there is a loop, there are two loops. Here we have only single loop. So in single loop, almost in every conditions, when the points are given, the functions are continuous. But in this particular case, the function may be discontinuous at some points. So here we start. This is the first category, single loop, because there is no turning point is given. I will read out, especially when the question is given with loops, I will tell you where how the question is turning and what is the value of function is uh, changing. So here we move towards very simple solutions. Solution is this f of x is equal to 5x minus 3 at x is equal to 0. First we will start with the at x is equal to 0. So simply f of 0 is equal to 5. Simply you have to put that I told you f of a. So a is what? 0 here. So 5 into 0 minus 3. So which is equal to 5 into 0 0 and then minus 3. So here we have minus 3 is the f of a, f of 0. Then limit x tends to 0 f of x. That limits we are taking, then we have to find out whether f of a is also and the limit of x tends to 0 f of x. These two values whether are equal or not, these must be equal. So limit x tends to 0, what is the value of f of x? That is our question, f5x minus 3 that we have put here, which is nothing but x tends to 0. Put the limit, taking limit at x is equal to 0. So 5 into 0 minus 3, which is equal to minus 3. So since this particular f of a and limit x tends to 0 f of x both are equal, therefore limit x tends to 0 f of x is equal to f0, both are minus 3, hence the function is continuous at 0. So this is first type of category. There are many questions coming underway, so where you have to just write these 2-3 simple general steps, and that's all about this question. At x is equal to minus 3, suppose it is minus 3, then again same thing you will be applying. F of minus 3 like f of 0 equals to 5 into value of x. What is that? Minus 3. So 5 3 is a minus 15 and minus 3 minus 18. Then limit x tends to minus 3 f of x. Limit x tends to 0. In this particular case, f of x minus 3. 5 into this actually minus 3. Limit so limit x tends to 3 f of x, which is equal to limit x tends to minus 3. This is actually minus 3 minus 3. So 5x minus 3, which is nothing but 5 into taking limit at minus 3. So 5 into minus 3 minus 3, again minus 18, both are equal. So the function is, since the limit x tends to minus 3, f of x equals to f of minus 3, hence the function is continuous at minus 3. Lastly, at x is equal to 5, f of 5, 5 25 minus 3 22, and then limit x tends to 5 f of x, limit x tends to 5 f of x minus 3, 5 25 minus 3, which is equal to 22. So 22 is equal to 22, hence the function is continuous at x is equal to 5 also. So overall we say that this particular function f of x equals to 5x minus 3 is continuous at x is equal to 0, at x is equal to minus 3, and at x is equal to 5. So that's all. Then we move towards next question, second one. Examine the continuity of the function f of x is equal to 2x square minus 1 at x is equal to 3. 100% same question, just like question number 1. So we'll proceed in the same way. What? F of this x, then f of a, that is f of a means f of 3. You will put here the value of 3, 2 into 3 power 2, and then minus 1. So 3 3 is a 9, 2 is a 18, minus 1 17, and then you will take limit x tends to 3 f of x, which is equal to limit x tends to 3 to x square is the value of function minus 1, then taking limits, so same thing, we will get 2 into 3 power 2, 3 square minus 1. This is a 9 to 18 minus 1 17. So hence the function is also continuous at x is equal to 3. Next, question number 3, examine the following functions for continuity. Now it will have some parts. So part A is f of x is equal to x minus 5. Now the difference between this question number 3 and question number 1 and 2, in question number 1 and 2 the points were given that you have to check this particular question at these points, but in this question nothing is given, just check the continuity. Now in such cases what you will do, you just take any constant c or a where a, c are real number belongs to R, and this is what c and a. These c and a are 3, 0, minus 3 or 5, anything. So in general you will take this is constant we have taken, then again that same thing f of a or f of c, then limit x tends to c, same all those steps will follow. So for the solution, since f of x is equal to x minus 5, which is polynomial function defined at every real number, so let we have any real number x is equal to a, what I told you. This a is constant. So now we will solve it. Therefore f of x when x is equal to a is f of a, means the value of x will put a. So a x minus 5 means at x a, so a minus 5, then limit x tends to a f of x, which is again taking limit at x tends to a and then x minus 5, it was given the function, so the value is a minus 5. Now this a minus 5 and this a minus 5 both are equal, hence the function is continuous. Understood? So this category when nothing is given, you have to take any constant, say a or c, anything. Next question, the part number c of this same question number 3. Let us go for the solution. Now a square minus b square. As you might have learned, you are knowing already in 11th standard that in case of taking limits, you will not take limit until unless there is a chance of solving something. So if it is possible to factorize it and cancellation is possible, then you must do before taking limit at the final step. So here for any real number c which is not equal to minus 5. Why did? Because if c is equal to, c is what? Any constant. So that means if x is equal to minus 5, then this function will not be a real anymore. So this will become the value of this function will be undefined. So that is not our aim. So we obtain what we obtain, limit x tends to c. For example, in previous question we have taken let x is equal to a constant. Now we have taken another constant c, x tends to c, f of x limit x tends to c, x square minus 25 upon x plus 5, that is function f of x. Now this is a square and this is 25 can be written as b square, 5 square. So then this will become identity a square minus b square, which is nothing but a plus b into a minus b. So that we have put. Now x plus 5 and x plus 5 cancelled. So we have now limit x tends to c, x minus 5, which is nothing but c minus 5 after taking the value of limit. Also f of c means again putting the value of x as c, so c square minus 25 upon c plus 5, c square minus 25 upon c plus 5. So we have factorize again, it is a square minus b square, then c plus 5 into c minus 5 upon c plus 5. So then c plus 5 and c plus 5 cancelled, so it is equal to c minus 5. Now from here c minus 5, here also c minus 5, so the function is continuous. But except this point should not be minus 5, because in that case it will be undefined. So limit x tends to c, f of x is equal to f of c, so therefore f is continuous at every point in its domain. Next part is D, the modulus function. F of x is equal to modulus x minus 5. Now you are knowing in modulus function, first of all we need to find out the neutral point where the function turns, because in this case x is equal to 5 will be the turning point. We need to find out turning point when the function starts giving negative value purely or giving positive value purely. So let us solve it. Let we have any real number again like previous question c, then we may have the following condition. What are the following conditions? If c is less than 5, I told you c is the 5 is the turning point. So if c is less than 5 means if the value of x is 4, 3, 2, then overall its value will be negative, then f of x will be negative. Look at here. So we multiply this minus inside, minus x, and then minus plus 5 minus x, and when c is greater than or equal to 5, when it is equal to 5, c is equal to 5, then its value is 0. 0 is considered as positive integer. So if c is greater than 5 means if we put x is equal to 6, 7 and so on, so overall value will be positive. So that means we are removing the modulus. It doesn't change, it will remain x minus 5. So now we are defining the function f of x is equal to modulus x minus 5 will be equal to, now what I was telling you, this question belongs to that loop wala question. So here we have two loops. Now the turning point is 5. So if x is less than 5, the value of function will be 5 minus x from here. This is first loop. When the function is greater than or equal to 5, then the value of function is different, x minus 5. That's what I told you in the beginning. This is second category, second type of question. Clear? So then case number 1, when c is less than 5, then f of c is equal to 5 minus c, whatever its value is. C is less than 5, so anything, 4, 3, 2, 0, anything. So then limit x tends to c, f of x, limit x tends to c, 5 minus x is equal to 5 minus c. So f of c, 5 minus c here, and here also 5 minus c. Luckily nothing is given, no point is given here. That means nothing is asked that you have to check this particular question at what point, 2, 1 or something like that. Otherwise our work have been in a different direction. So we say that this function is continuous for this particular loop only when x is less than 5, and at that point the function is 5 minus x. For 5 minus x at for value of x is less than 5, this function will be continuous. Okay. Then the case number 2, when c is equal to 5. C is equal to 5, then definitely this will be 0 or whatever it is given. C is equal to 5. If we are taking exact c is equal to 5, then let we have any real number h. Now what I was telling you, that this is defined point. Now 5 is given, so we have to check in the left hand side what I was talking. Look at here, this I make this diagram. This is c is equal to 5. Remember on that point, this is turning point of the question. Now if I add something small quantity which I call h into 5, then we reach to the right hand side of the function. And if I subtract any small quantity same from 5, then we reach to the left hand side of the question. So same thing we will be applying for left hand limit and right hand limit. So we take that particular small quantity, very small number h, which is very small. Here we need to check the left hand limit as well as the right hand limit at c is equal to 5. So when we are going for left hand limit, so we are subtracting 5 minus something, what I told you here. This will be, we are subtracting 5 h from 5. So here we can write it 5 minus h, and in this side we can write 5 plus h. So plus for right hand limit and minus for left hand limit. So and for right hand limits 5 plus something. So x is equal to 5. At x is equal to 5, left hand limit x tends to 5. 5 minus, actually top part of the 5. 5 minus denotes that we are taking left hand limit, and then function f of x. When x tends to 5, look at here, when x tends to 5, we are writing 5 minus h. This is equal to x. So when x tends to 5, put here 5. So 5 is equal to 5 minus h. So this 5 and 5 cancel. So that means h will tends towards 0. So that we have written here, h tends to 0. Function f of x. Now what is x? X is the left hand side value, that graph I made here like this. So this side 5 minus h, that is x, and this side 5 plus h, that is x. This is for right hand side, right hand limit, and this is for left hand limit. So f of x, that means the value we will replace this 5 minus h, we will replace in the function. So which limit we are taking? Left hand limit. So we will take the value of function when the function is less than 5. So at that point the value of function is 5 minus x. So 5 as it is 5, look at here, 5 is added as it is 5, and minus x is means 5 minus h. So here it should be plus h, minus into minus plus, and then plus into this minus 5. So 5 and 5 cancel, and then taking limit h tends to 0, we have equals to 0. Now the right hand limit, similarly at x is equal to 5, x tends to 5 plus superscript right hand side. 5 plus means we are not taking, minus means left hand limit, plus means right hand limit, f of x. Again limit h tends to 0, f of 5 plus h, which is equal to limit h tends to 0. Now the right hand, because we are taking the value right hand side, so the x is greater than 5. So greater than 5 means the value of the function will be now x minus 5. So instead of x we will put 5 plus h. So here look at here, this is x, we have put 5 plus h here, x, and then minus 5 as it is, then 5 and 5 again cancel, limit h tends to 0, so it is also equal to 0. Since left hand limit is equal to right hand limit, so the function is continuous at x is equal to 5. Limit x tends to 5 also, 5 minus 5 0, so therefore function is continuous at x is equal to 5. Then case number 3 also can be taken. Now the function is already declared in second part, that is continuous. So this is just formality to do this third part. So c is greater than 5, so f of c, f of 5, the value of x minus 5 function, so c minus 5, and then limit x tends to this c, which is f of x, limit x tends to c. So showing This is x tends to c. So f of x is equal to limit x tends to c and x minus 5. So both the values are equal, so we'll say that function is continuous at greater than 5 also. Hence the function is continuous at every real number and therefore it is continuous function. That's all about this question.